You are officially an incinerator. Welcome to Incense and Common Sense, the live streams we do here on the Alert Zone TV. Shout out to everybody. You guys know the drill. Usually we give 5 minutes for everybody to come into the room. That's gonna come in. As you come in, hit the like button. Definitely. Um, I always have to say shout out to Eyes and Ears Tactical for sorry about that. Shout out to Eyes and Ears Tactical for the incinerator. Definitely. Uh, got my juice. You guys know Unc has been under the weather for the last couple weeks. I'm kind of having a few health issues. I'm still somewhat fighting this. But with that being said, I wanted to just do a short live stream. I'm not gonna do nothing long. Uh, we got 4 people in the room. We need to get those likes up. Hit them likes as you come in, people. Like I said, we got the incinerator going, and I'll just give everybody a couple minutes to come in. Let me make sure the comments on. Okay. We got the comments on, everybody. Definitely got my just regular cup with some juice in here. First off, I want to say thank you to everybody that checked on me. For those of y'all who wasn't able to check on me, but you still wanted to make sure Unc was good, I really appreciate that. With that being said, it's great to be back. I didn't want to live stream. If you seen I posted a couple more videos about my gun collection, and I kind of touched on, I really didn't want to go live or do too much of filming because I had such a bad cough. I thought it would be unfair to everybody for me to be on film doing that and constantly stopping and things like that. I thought that would be unfair to give y'all a inferior product, you know. So we got 17 people in here. Let's get the likes up. Look, the likes doesn't mean you like the channel or you like the discussion, but it helps get me in the algorithm to people who may agree or disagree and want to talk to me. So definitely, I'm gonna give everybody a minute to get in here. Like I said, I'm not seeing no comments pop up, but I know the comment section is definitely open. So was had quite a bit going on since the last time we did a live stream. There is one thing I'm gonna touch on, and I know it's gonna rub some people the wrong way, but I'm gonna touch on it because it's gotta be touched on. We at the 3-minute mark. All right. What's going on? What's going on, Oliver? Here we go. We got our first comment. Let me shout out GunTube while I'm here. When I say GunTube, I don't just mean the content creators. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I try and do something with it. But when I say GunTube, what's my thoughts on 5.56 versus 7.62 by 39? I tell you guys what. We'll do a freestyle show tonight. Since this is my first night back and what have you, I'm going to just do like a freestyle with everybody. We'll just chop it up, man. Because I enjoy that sometime with y'all. My thoughts on 5.56 versus 7.62. Please shout out, Mr. All right, shout out to you, Oliver. My thoughts on 5.56 versus 7.62 is, this is my personal opinion. I think that 5.56 on that AR platform, I think to me, an AR platform is better than an AK platform. because of the different things you can do with AR. As far as the round, well, 7.62. If I had a choice, I would probably take 7.62, just because it's a bigger round. You know what? That's a good comparison video for the range. I do feel like this. A 5.56 round. Well, usually I run 2.23, so it's kind of the same thing. I feel like a 5.56 on that AR platform is easier to control. That's my personal opinion. What say y'all out there in the alert zone out there? That's my take on 7.62 by as far as 5.56. Now I do feel like this. You get what's shalom. You get what makes you comfortable. I have an AR, as you guys know. I have an AK. The one good thing I can say about both of them is they're not very hard to control. Those rounds are not so powerful that you almost breaking your shoulders. So that's one of the things I do like about them. What's going on, Dr. T? Appreciate you for stopping by. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. I have to move this incinerator on this side over here. Hopefully that smoke will blow that way. You guys know I'm still somewhat fighting this weather. But yeah, that's my take on the 7.62 by 39 versus the 5.56. It's one of them things, to me, is in the eye of the beholder. What makes you more comfortable, but I eventually will be getting me another AR. I'll be getting around to it. I think I'm gonna deck this one out. I don't own any guns that I've ever personalized as far as getting them Cerakoted and all that stuff. But I think I might go with the Black Rain Ordnance. They down there, I believe that's Neosho, Missouri. It's not that far away from here. It's about a 5-hour ride down there to where Black Rain Ordnance is. 5-6 hour ride on the other side of Joplin down there. I may go down there one day and order me one. Or you can get them up here in Iowa at the Shields. Shields have them, definitely. So that's my thought on the 7.62 by 39. We got 6 people in here. As you come in, folks, hit the likes. If you catch this on the replay, hit the likes. All right. Let me go ahead on and address the elephant in the room. And pretty much why I did this live stream. I was going to do Midday Mania. I didn't have the opportunity to get it done today because I was busy at midday. The story of Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. That seems to be the biggest topic. I went to several platforms and I didn't necessarily watch the videos. I went and read the comments. I wanted to give my 2 cents on this since we do. Excuse me, everybody. Damn. Since we do talk about self-defense here. When I first heard of this story, actually, it was Megyn Kelly who I heard talk about this first. When I listened to her talk, I was like, okay, well, let me check out the rest of the sewage. So I went on over to the Daily Sewage, the Daily Wire over there, and old Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and, the rest of that gang. They racialized this incident before anybody else did. They made it into a white guy getting stabbed by a black kid because he asked him nightly to get up and give his seat, or give him his seat, or get from under the tent, or whatever the fuck. They racialized this. And then it turned into a racial thing. I read the comments and a lot of people was angry about the judge reducing the bond. A lot of people were saying that Carmelo Anthony was a killer and he got rewarded and what's wrong with black folks and blah, 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 blah. You guys know, y'all have heard this. But I want everybody to remember something. Number one, Texas is a stand your ground state. Gun Freak Nation, what's going on, William? Texas is a stand your ground state. You guys remember Daniel Penny in New York. When Daniel Penny got snuck up behind Jordan Neely. For those of you who've never been to New York, if somebody's screaming out in public or on the train scares you, don't go to New York. It's normal to hear people screaming and act. You see all kinds of videos of the New York subways of screaming and shouting going on. If what Jordan Neely was doing was that bad in New York, you'd have people being strangled on the train every day. Daniel Penny was he not arrested. When he finally was arrested, they passed a hat around and gave him $3 million. He was found not guilty. He showed up to the UFC event with Trump and JD Vance and took pictures, and now he's got some job at some high equity company or what have you. Kyle Rittenhouse got over $2 million. And it was all about self-defense and blah, 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 blah. If you think what Carmelo Anthony did was wrong, and that the community was wrong for raising money to get him out, well, guess what? When you set these precedents, sometimes this is what happens. Stand your ground states, these stand your ground laws, unfortunately, and that's why I've had to do that on this channel and take the slings and arrows. You guys don't know some of the things that's said to me offline. And some of it said to me by some people that's close to me. They make a lot of negative comments towards me because I point out something that people just don't want to hear. I support the Second Amendment. This will be one of the only channels where you'll hear me say, the Klan, the neo-Nazis, and everything. Look, as long as they can pass a background check, they can go right ahead on and have all the guns they want. I'll just arm myself so that way we got a fair fight. That's all. If you can pass a background check, if you can go through the process of becoming legally armed, I'm not against nobody being legally armed. Even people I may not agree with. At the end of the day, they have a right to protect themselves just like I do. And instead of crying and screaming about them, why don't you go out there and get armed like them? They can call you all the names you want. They want. Long as you got that thing on you, they ain't running up on you. But a precedent got set. George Zimmerman. Florida's a stand your ground state. He was allowed to get out, run Trayvon Martin down. What happened, happened. His community passed a hat around and got him competent defense. When you set a precedent, you can't come back and say, no, we can't do that now. Self-defense is supposed to be for everybody. You guys know I've told you the story of Sifo Bennett down there in Florida, where he ran from his attackers. They came in the store behind him, he defended himself, and he went to prison. They trying to send him to prison, now he's in jail. Jonathan Majors is on video running from his attacker in New York. Running, literally running from her. She's on video attacking him. He got convicted of 2 counts. I can go on and on. I told you guys about the deputy that shot the guy in Florida with his own gun. Florida is a constitutional carry state. So why would you search somebody who tell you I'm legally armed? You guys saw the video of Philando Castile. I can go on and on and on and on and on about all this. I'm just pointing something out. You're right about that. I'm just pointing something out. You can't make these stand your ground laws. But then you want to pick and choose who get to use them. You can't have somebody getting accused or do something like Daniel Penny did, have his community put up $3 million for his defense, and then turn around when somebody else's community does it. You can't set that precedent. If you don't want that to happen, then you don't do it. As we always told, what's going on? Appreciate you for stopping by. As we're told, just let the system work. Well, if you've been accused of a crime and you've been arrested, your community shouldn't put $3 or $4 million up for you to have top-notch defense. Let the system work. And if you're innocent, they're going to find you innocent. If you're guilty, they're going to find you guilty. But you can't go around and pass the hat and say, here, we're going to make sure you have top-notch defense, and then get angry when somebody else does it. Because what you're saying is, this is the way you handle this. Now this is the #1 story. All over the doggone country now. It's a racial divide. Hell, you had white conservatives that got up there and said, wait a minute. Nobody asked the question of, why didn't these brothers not even approach that guy? He was minding his business. He was a track athlete. They weren't. And they turned on the white conservatives and called them sellouts. At the end of the day, here at the Alert Zone TV, I preach this, and I'm always going to preach it. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe everybody have the human right, but we're going to talk about this channel, the constitutional right to protect themselves. You right about that. But I've told you, and I'll continue to tell me because of my personal experiences. All that stand your ground and Second Amendment stuff and all that. Yep. All that stand your ground and all that stuff has an asterisk next to it. Why, when this becomes a racial incident, the black person is always being told, well, you had the duty to retreat. Why didn't you just run away? Well, C4 Bennett ran. He ran in the building and hid. And they came in after him, and he protected himself in Ron DeSantis, Florida, and he's on his way to prison. Jonathan Majors is on video running, literally running from this woman. NYPD, who's a very biased group of cops, even said, hey, he's not the aggressor, she is. She needs to be arrested. Alvin Bragg railroaded him anyway. Which, by the way, Alvin Bragg finna get his. Because Donald Trump going after Letitia James. They going after Fannie Willis and Alvin Bragg. He's going to be next. What I'm saying is, we as law-abiding citizens need to think about certain things. There's people in the Second Amendment community from all different racial and ethnic backgrounds who said that Kyle Rittenhouse was right for defending himself. And that Kyle Rittenhouse was their hero. It's fine. He defended himself. His community put up the money to make sure he had top-notch lawyers. Now don't complain because somebody else is doing the precedent that you set. When I started this channel, I made it clear. I was going to show you how the Second Amendment, Race and politics intercept each other, and people didn't like it. And I understood I was gonna take some slings and arrows, and I still do. Sometimes people come at me in the comment section. Offline, you guys can't imagine some of the things that's said to me. But it's okay. I wouldn't talk about this stuff if it didn't keep happening. I always tell people, everybody doesn't have the same rights in practice. Thank you. I appreciate you. Everybody doesn't have the same rights in practice that we do on paper. That's why I tell you guys and you girls out there, you have to be careful. Sometimes you may not like certain things, but at the end of the day, it's about surviving the encounter. As I told you guys, I've been stopped by cops from different backgrounds. I've had cops from all communities tell me they don't agree with me being armed. They don't agree with the Second Amendment. I've been through it all. And that's what part of this channel is about. It's about my experience as being a legally armed citizen and the things I've had to go through and the things I've had to do to stay alive to survive the encounter. I always tell you guys and girls, at the end of the day, once an officer know I'm armed, I don't reach for nothing. I don't care what he say. I ain't even reaching to take the seatbelt off. Because I understand if he shoots me, he can say I reached. We watched Philando Castillo do everything he was told, and then he lost his life right there in live time. And there was a system that let Geronimo Yanez go. Remember in Texas, something just happened a lot of y'all may not know about. The governor, Greg Abbott, just pardoned a guy who ran somebody over or shot somebody at a protest during the George Floyd uprisings. He was convicted by a white jury. He's a white guy. All white jury convicted him, sent him to prison for life, and Greg Abbott just fucking pardoned him, let him out of jail. Remember, Ron DeSantis passed a law saying that you can hit protesters if they're in the middle of the street now. Didn't they just have a protest across this country called Hands Off or whatever? How come nobody ran over none of those people? See, some of these laws, you support them, but if you're going to support them, you got to support them across the board. You can't say, well, it's only for certain people. If I am legally able to own a firearm, and I tell the law enforcement I have a legally owned firearm, I shouldn't then be searched and treated like a criminal. I have a legal right to be armed. I shouldn't have officers telling me in a constitutional carry state, do I have a concealed carry permit? This state is constitutional carry, so I don't need one. But I understand on the side of the road ain't where you fight. I don't like it. I'm going to be honest. I don't like it. But I'm still sitting here to talk to you guys and girls about it. And what I'm saying to everybody about this Carmelo Anthony situation, whether you think he was right or wrong, whether you are angry about his bond, we just had this happen publicly with Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny snuck up behind somebody and he executed him. He got $3 million. He got $3 million. They didn't arrest him for about 3 weeks. So you made a public display of this. And now it's come back full circle, and now you're saying, well, he shouldn't deserve that treatment. I have people I've seen in the comment sections where people were saying that his family finessed the community and what have you. Yeah, you're right about fighting it in court. But it was okay to parade Kyle Rittenhouse around and Daniel Penny. Now the shoe is on the other foot and people see the downside and the ugly side or the side they don't agree with would stand your ground. There's people asking why was he armed? I got a simpler question. Why didn't they just leave him the fuck alone? How about that? The police report says that Austin pushed Carmelo and Carmelo told him, don't touch me. He touched me again. Watch what happened. How about that? Why they just couldn't leave him the fuck alone? It's just that simple. Let me tell you something. When you go looking for a fight, sometimes you get more than you bargain for. Leave people the fuck alone. It's just that simple. If they would have kept their fucking mouth shut, or if they would have got an adult, this never would have happened. They came over there. They weren't even track stars, but they came over there. They told him he had to get from under there and get out in the rain. Then they decided that they was going to put their hands on him. I'm going to ask this question again. Why is it when it comes to us using self-defense against non-black people, we always have to be the one to be the bigger person? We should just get up and walk away. Now, to show you guys, I know what I'm talking about. I saw another story. And I want to say South Florida. Yeah, thanks. Where a black guy was in Walgreens. He had his legally owned firearm on him. There was another guy that accused him of looking at his girlfriend too long. Some kind of argument started. The perpetrator came from the back of the fucking store to the front of the store to tell this guy, I'm gonna fucking show you. He pulled the gun out. The victim pulled his legally owned firearm, took care of business. He got arrested, but then they let him go. They dropped all the charges and said, it's on video. He was minding his business. He stood his ground. Now, the only difference is the victim that protected himself was black, but so was the perpetrator. Now, if that's the case, why is C4 Bennett in prison in Florida when he did the exact same thing? But his victims were white. And this is on video. Him running across the parking lot. They accosted him. They started calling him all kinds of words. He ran from them. And there were people that owned the businesses in that plaza that testified. He ran from them. He ran and hid in the smoke shop and said that they was trying to harm him and he didn't want no trouble. And they went and got a gun and came back and he took care of business and he's in jail in Florida. Now, do you guys see the double standard? I just pointed out two cases, same thing, different results. That's all I'm saying. If you're going to stand your ground, do it across the board. But I say this to everybody. Leave people the fuck alone. When you go pick fights with people, when you go talk shit to people, you don't know what's on people's mind. You don't know what kind of day they having. If they decide, yep. How do I feel about 300 blackout round? I'll get to that in just a minute. I'll say this and then I'll go ahead and answer your question. In the case of C4 Bennett in Florida, they started with everybody's favorite little racial slur, calling him all kinds of niggas. Because you know, as black folk, we're told everybody should be allowed to call us a fucking nigga and we shouldn't say nothing back. It starts as a fucking joke and it starts as an insult and then blood usually comes behind it. That's why we don't like people calling us that. There's usually some deadly action that comes behind it. They started calling C4 all kinds of racial epithets and he ran from them. Well, damn, we ain't never supposed to protect ourselves? Because that's the message that's being sent. When it's not a black person, we can't protect ourselves. Trayvon ran from George Zimmerman. And then he was accused of being the aggressor. Well, How can he be aggressive? He's fled. He's ran. George Zimmerman said he ran from me. He went and chased him down. Now, for all those good cops out there that everybody claim is just a few bad apples, the good cops need to speak up. I just pointed out in Florida 2 stand your ground cases with 2 different results. Now, to answer the question about how do I feel about 300 blackout, I'm going to find out what the malfunction is with mine, but I love that 300 blackout. I love my 300 blackout. I've already gotten to the point where once I get it figured out, because I told you guys it was a build, I wound up having to get a kit. I love my 300 blackout. I love that round. The fact that it was so easy to shoot on that AR platform, I love my 300 blackout. Shout out to everybody. We got 16 wonderful people in here. We got 13 likes. As you guys know, I'm still somewhat battling the weather, but the weather has been very schizophrenic in Iowa. This past Sunday, it was like 80 degrees. Monday morning, I got up. It was like 35 degrees outside. I had to turn the heat on in the truck, and this weather has been very schizophrenic up here. Yeah, I'm up here in Iowa. It's been very, very schizophrenic. You know, I was in Texas last week, and it was warm, and I was loving that warm weather down there. I can't even lie. On the way back, I made it up to this particular time coming back. It was warm all the way. Waterloo in the house? Okay. I live in Marshalltown. Yeah, I've heard a lot about Waterloo. I've delivered to the Target up there, to the Martin Brower, Cedar Falls. I've been to the John Deere in Waterloo and a couple other places in Waterloo, but I've never actually been around in Waterloo. I've been through it more than I've actually been to it. But, you know, I just wanted to say to everybody, I appreciate y'all for checking in on this channel. Even sometimes you guys and girls might not agree with me, and I'm okay with that. Like I said, these discussions is just discussions that need to be had. If you don't agree with something I say, all I ask, just be respectful. But you can let me know, hey, I don't agree with you, this, and that. I don't take things to heart. I have had people come at me very harsh. I don't cry about it or what have you, but I appreciate people checking this channel out, man. I think I've gotten over this. You know, I had a couple tests ran on me at the hospital and things, so I don't have COVID and none of that. But going forward, you guys, like I said, you guys and girls gonna see a lot more different things change on the channel. What's going on, Ronnie? I can't call it. I just did an impromptu live. I really appreciate y'all tuning in and rocking with me. I'm feeling better. I got my book with me, my new book. As a matter of fact, hold on 1 second. You guys know my wife bought me this, my new little book. It's empty right now, but you know, my old book was kind of raggedy, and I know she want me to look more together. This is gonna be, you know, kind of almost like my wallet. You guys know this is where I write the thoughts down, and while I'm brainstorming an idea for something comes up, definitely I'll be having it in this book. That's why I said this was just an impromptu live. You guys know I'm still working. I got sick. I think I kind of got this StreamYard thing figured out where I can bring people on. To some of y'all gun tubers out there, big and small, y'all gonna see me reach out to y'all in y'all comment section. I want to start bringing y'all on so we can do interviews. and I can know what's going on you girls and guys neck of the woods and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure there's people that frequent this channel that might want to see some of these interviews, you know. And like I said, we're gonna have times where you'll be allowed to come up, and if you don't want your face shown, I'll figure all that out. And if you do, that's fine. And we'll just have discussions, you know, about the Second Amendment, about protecting ourselves and things like that. And, you know, you can just let me know. You don't have to tell me what city you live in. I would like to at least know the state you're checking in from. So that way, you know, we can have somebody from different states come on and let us know what's going on, you know. Shout out to Eyes and Ears Tactical as always. My girl Guns and Journey. I'm gonna reach out to you. I know I was supposed to get you on here a while back. I just had a lot going on off behind the scenes, so I'm gonna definitely work on getting you up here. Whichever ones I can get on here first. I did kind of have a list I wanted to follow, but as I can make people become available, I'm gonna start doing these interviews and these discussions on this channel because I think it'd be good for everybody. One thing I really would love to do, I'm definitely gonna try and get I'm having a brain writer's block right now. Shit. I got his channel on the name of my damn tongue. You guys know who I'm talking about. Well Dressed Tactical, cause he's a Jamaican. I would love to get people that are actual immigrants that got legally armed or first generation and ask you guys and girls what you think about the Second Amendment. And, you know, like I said, I've done a video specifically for immigrants, naturalized citizens here in America. Practice your Second Amendment rights. If you went through the proper channels to come here and you can get the paperwork and you can get your firearm, protect yourself. You're here in this country, just like if we came to your country, we want to know what's the legal precedent to protect ourselves. You guys and girls know I've made a video specifically for that. I took some flack for it, but I didn't care because everybody is worked. Appreciate you, Dr. T. Yeah, everybody is welcome here, man. You know, we may have some cultural differences or what have you, but at the end of the day, you're here in America. I don't give a shit where you came from. If you can be legally armed, I want you to protect yourself. Sometime I have talked because up here in Iowa, there's a lot of immigrants here or first generation, whatever country they come from, American. And sometimes it's hard to get them to understand because they think having a firearm is a bad thing. You're in America. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to bring you on here. William. I'm going to make my list. Since I got my new tablet now, I'm going to sit down. I'm on Key West in the building. That long ride down there to Key West. But I'm going to get you on here, man, so we can have conversations. And you in law enforcement. Hell, I want law enforcement to come up in here. Yep, America is the lands of the guns. Get one. That's what we say. Sell your Gucci, buy you a Glock. Just that simple. At the end of the day, whatever you do in your home country, that's your business. Here, we want you to be able to legally protect yourself. Because at the end of the day, this is not Grand Theft Auto. This is not PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 5 or Xbox. You only get one life. If you got to give it up, as Brother Malcolm said, let it be an even Steven. Don't give it all up by itself. You give it up fighting. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody for checking in. I appreciate everybody for stopping. If you catch this on the replay, shout out to you. I know this was an impromptu. Make sure you watch the community tab. Excuse me. That's where I'm going to do more of my postings. As I get these shows lined up, I'm working on how to do the thumbnails and things like that. So I can give the guests that we schedule for interviews the proper respect of people seeing their channel. I don't care if you got 10 million subs or if you don't got none. I want to get everybody in here so we can just have these discussions because at the end of the day, there's room for everybody and these messages need to get out. We can't fix a problem if we don't acknowledge that they exist and we don't sit down and talk about ways to fix them. So with that being said, The incinerator is burned out. Appreciate y'all stopping by. And until next time, everybody out there, stay safe, stay armed, stay on high alert.